We're going to talk about how to create Oh, my. And welcome you. And see, would like to Troy would like to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I'd like to introduce Lauren Jones to you, who has just recently joined the board and who's appointed by the county legislature on Tuesday. And the great news for us is we had a vacancy since December when Tony retired. And so then we very quickly, the staff was great, Anna and Rachel and Robin, put together an orientation session, so to bring him up to speed quickly so he could participate actively in his first meeting with this meeting on Tuesday. And that's exactly what happened on Friday, right? So you went through the whole orientation process and took the oath of office. And, and you'd be here to make decisions today. Thank you. Norm has been with the city for 40 years. He has been with the Department of Environmental Services. He's been managing 28% of the city budget and about 600 city employees. He is familiar with brownfields and the city's infrastructure, and he is responsible for La Marqueta, the seasonal Latin market, and the skate park, and I'm sure many other projects over the years. So, but his background is such that he could be very beneficial to us as we look at projects to help drive the economy. Sorry about that.
And not a robust orientation was necessary because Norman has a great deal of familiarity and awareness of COMIDA, our history in Monroe County, projects that we're doing for him. So I want to thank staff and of course thank Norman for joining us on the board.
So thank you for finishing that. So thank you for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get started. And the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for our meeting of August 16th.
And
Is there a motion for that?
before a motion, I'd like an addition on page 5.
Sorry.
I would like an addition put to the last paragraph of page 5 that after a long discussion last month, the MAP program verbally agreed to honor the building trades president's request for a building trade representative to sit on the board. I just would like that added to that last paragraph, please.
Well, first of all, we need a motion to approve minutes.
As
And then I'll
correct.
ask for the, okay, thanks. So it's been moved and seconded by Lisa, thank you. All right, so now you're proposing, Troy, a change to the minutes?
Just an addition to the minutes. After our discussion last month, Joe finally, for the 4th time, asked if MAP would honor the letter of request to put a building trades representative onto the board. Verbally was committed 3 times and it hasn't been followed through. So I just wanted the minutes to reflect that the verbal commitment was not fulfilled. So if we could add to the minutes that that was a verbal discussion had by the board. If anybody heard different, please share.
I think there was one other discussion about the two organizations working together, but Rachel.
Yes.
It wasn't part of our motion.
It's not part of the motion, but we can update the minutes to reflect the board discussed a working relationship between the Rochester Building and Construction Trades Council and MAP, but our motion will stay as it was without condition.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor say, wait, let's see, we don't need to do another motion.
No, it'll be a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
With that edit, right, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, any public comments expected today?
No, no one.
Okay.
All right.
One second. Not that we're aware of, right?
Right.
Okay. Kevin, how are you?
Good, how are you?
He's going to give us our local labor monitoring report.
Yes, okay, so, all right, so I have the August 2022 monthly report. It covers our visits between August 1st and August 31st. During this period, we made 72 monthly site visits. We made 5 follow-up visits during this period. We checked the residency of 538 workers. Of those, we had 14 non-compliant, 2 of which no proof of residence, over 2 jobs, 5 out of area, over 2 jobs, 7 invalid ID, over 2 jobs. USRE Manitow, their current overall is 72%. As of the 31st of August 2022, all monitored sites were in compliance at the time of our inspection. We had 3 new COMIDA signs delivered to Flower City Roll-Off, American Management, and JD and Sons, Inc. Question.
The 72%,
Sorry?
that is 72%.
Yes.
Very good news.
Yes.
It's been at that level for some time.
Yeah, and it'll probably remain that way.
70% commitment.
Yeah, it'll probably remain that way too, just given that the prime shell of the building, as well as all the interiors that Layton was responsible for, is pretty much done. And now the work being performed inside is all within Amazon scope, which is separate from the application.
Any questions?
Kevin, on a recent job visit, did you find a job with 5 people or 4 people from out of the country on site?
Out of the country, I mean, not having.
Out of country IDs?
Yes.
And what makes the job compliant and not on our report here from that?
Well, that was probably a September visit and maybe not an August visit.
It was reported, I don't remember when you shared the report.
Okay.
But because the contractor owns the property that these people are leasing, that makes the job compliant?
Well, I mean, if they have a out-of-country ID, I mean, for one, you're into a lot of situations where an individual hasn't, been able to apply for a New York State driver's license, for whatever reason, can't get to the DMV. In other cases, they're relatively new, so they haven't done that yet, but they're living in a, I don't know how to call it, a long-term arrangement or whatnot, whether they have, because yes, some contractors do have properties where they will house workers when they need employees, when they're short-staffed. Obviously, we've been seeing a lot of labor shortage in the economy as a whole, and of course in the construction industry too, which is why there's more waivers that we're seeing process as well. So yes, it does happen. And again, we try to follow through to make sure that any of those workers have proper proof of residence or anything that they can show where they are living within the local area to a greater extent than just a short-term couple week stay. So I have to look into that more often sometimes, look at those tenant or lease agreements to make sure that they're actually legitimate. So it does take a little bit more investigating and digging, but I have to do the work to verify that.
I guess I would just like to inform the board that this contractor that has this situation right now, it's live, it's real, is a contractor that the compliance committee has granted a waiver and granted them a benefit for another project they've received incentive for. So this, I would call this a repeat offender, if I may.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, Brian Council, our exemptions, local labor exemptions.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, today I have 2 local labor exemptions to report on. The first one is for the Pike Conductor DEB1 LLC project. This was an application to provide out-of-area workers for the application and installation of the spray-applied fireproofing intumescent paint at the project site in Rochester. In this instance, the specialized work is typically supplied, or the labor for this work is supplied out of local 9 plasterers and local 210 laborers. At this time, they did not have anybody that was available to do the work that resided within the area, so they had to bring in someone to conduct this work who was part of the local union but did not reside in the area. That was the first one. The second one was related to the 850 EV LLC project. The exemption was related to some minor demolition and abatement work at the project site. We reached out to the local union that would provide these resources. The local union business manager said that they were out of full employment. They did not have anyone to supply, so we issued them a waiver to accompany Empire Builder Diagnostics with very minor work, and that's it.
Okay, great, thanks. Brian, any questions for Brian? There you go, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you.
Right, next up on the agenda is the financial report, right?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My job's pretty easy. As we get through the first 8 months of the year, continue certainty full force, continue to have great financial results. Cash represents about $7.2 million as of August. We also have about $2.8 million of what we call restricted cash, which was allocated for the workforce modernization plan. COMIDA initial deposit was $2.5 million, and we're allocating 10% of current fees to that, and that's where that 2.796 stands through August. We have committed funds. There are 2 programs that we've committed to for that, which represent $400,000 each. So that's $800,000 against that 2.796. So we have unallocated commitments so far, about 1.996 for that workforce modernization plan. Prepaid expenses really represent the county comp plan that we're continuing to amortize over the 2 years that we've committed to that program. All the other accruals and timing is expected. Most of that accrued liability balance of $411,000 represents the Empower accruals that we're doing every single month. We get a voucher on that every quarter, and then the quarterly allocation for the county contract that we continue to accrue for. In terms of our statement of activities, again, revenues continue to, our fee income continues to set records based on all the activity that the company has undertaken. $2.96 million through 8 months, quite a bit more than what we had budgeted for. Certainly, a little bit more than where we were last year. And remember, last year total, we had a very strong year last year. Total 2021 fee income was about $3.8 million. As we stand here today at about $3 million through August. The next 4 months look to be very strong. We have 2 significant projects that we intend to close on over the next 4 months that could generate an extra probably $4 million of fee revenue collected. In the next 4 months this year. Again, they're in different stages.
Right.
We're anticipating that, so again, I don't, it's always hard to say. I don't want to overcommit. But again, I think at this point, $6 to $7 million of fee income generated this year with all the activities where we expect to land. It could be more than that, because that $4 million is really in 2 projects, and we also have other projects that are going to continue to close in our normal course of business. Of that fee revenue, that's $3 million to date that we have collected on. It's almost exact 50% of that represents income that, or projects that we have closed in 2021. And 50% is basically for things that we have closed on and approved in 2022. So we still have about a $6 million pipeline and backlog of projects, to date. So again, very, very strong results still. In terms of our, programs that we committed to and supported to, like we talked about, we're trying to, as of about last October until today, we've committed to about $5.7 million of projects, workforce development. So we're generating that fee income, but I think we're doing a really good job of putting that money back into the county and supporting a lot of different initiatives. Empower, the modernization plan are the two big ones. But we have a bunch of other ones as well. So again, it's great to collect that income and generate what we're doing, but also to put it back into the program. So overall, like I said, this is most likely going to be the strongest year on record for the county.
You're doing a great job, Greg.
You guys are all
Leading
doing a
us
great
in the
job.
right direction. No, that's a very thorough report, and it is great progress well beyond our budgeted amount for our revenues and so forth for the year-to-date numbers. So, and very strong as compared to last year too. So.
Last year was one of the better years on record.
Also, right?
Yeah.
All right, any questions for Greg?
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, our first project today is Magna Real Property Acquisitions Company 2 LLC. Walk us through that.
And great project. Magna Real Property Acquisitions Co. 2 LLC, a real estate holding company, is proposing to renovate Jet View Drive in the town of Highline to consolidate employees into one location. Tenants in the building will include XLI Manufacturing, CBC Manufacturing, and Gulf Products Wire EDM. The $905,000 project is projected to create 20 new FTEs over the next 3 years. The applicant is seeking approval of sales tax exemptions only. The benefit to incentive ratio is 65:1. Additionally, Magna Real Property Acquisition Co. 1 LLC received a real property tax abatement in 2021 on its current location at 55 Vanguard Parkway and is requesting approval to sell that building. At this time, it is unknown if the buyer will request to assume the real property tax abatement.
And we have Chad Carda with us today, the president of the applicant and tenant.
Yes, good to be in front of you again. As you had mentioned, COMIDA has been very supportive of us in the past, so thank you for that. Challenges of growth. We've been growing pretty aggressively over the past 4 years that I've owned the business. So we need more space, good and bad, right? And so this facility is 86,000 square feet, so it'll allow us to keep growing. We quickly grew out of our renovation space, renovated space, and it's exciting. We've been doing a lot of really good things, hiring pretty aggressively, and a bunch of new customers, some locally, but also kind of really around the nation. Most of our work is in the medical space, so it's been an exciting story for us, and we did an acquisition, which is how we kind of found the Jet View property. And we just would like to bring everyone together so we can bring everyone under one roof, just more efficient for us for the long term.
The growth has been substantial.
Yes, it has.
10% in 3 years?
Yeah, we've been averaging about 30 to 35% a year growth top line. So it's been very positive, but we just have to keep it going. A lot of challenges for us to still continue on with, but good challenges.
Those are the kind of challenges.
Yeah, no, it's been good for the area. We've about 100 employees now, so I think when I originally bought it was about 30 employees.
So do we have any questions for Chad? Okay, and public hearing is not necessary. I'll ask you a few local labor questions.
Yes.
Are you aware of our local labor policies? Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Yeah. The secret process is complete, and now we'll move forward with the reading of the resolution.
Motion to waive the reading.
Thank you. There's been a motion to waive the reading of the resolution and subsequent resolutions, because they're all in our packet. And there was a second withdrawn. All right, so I'll take a roll call vote then on this project. Jay is absent. Lisa? Yay. Troy?
Yay.
Joe?
Yay.
Brett?
Yay.
Norm?
Yay.
And Ann is a yay. So, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for continued success to you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Okay, the second project is MRG Holdings 1 LLC.
MRG Holdings One LLC, a real estate holding company, is constructing a new 12,000 square foot building in the town of Riga for its tenant, Flying Horse Transport LLC, a related entity. The applicant is purchasing the COMIDA-owned land on Brew Road later this year. The new facility will allow for consolidation of equipment and employees into one location. Flying Horse Transport plans to create 20 new FTEs in addition to its existing 30 FTEs. The $1.9 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage reporting tax, and sales tax exemption. And the cost to benefit ratio is 79 to 1.
Okay, do we have, let's see, it's Rinku?
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry. You might want to pronounce your name better than I just did.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Myself, Rinku Sharma, as you mentioned, an owner of MRG Holding One LLC and Flying Horse Transport LLC. When I looked at this property, it was like, okay, it's a good opportunity for us to acquire this property where we can build a terminal. But let me go a little back. Where we started, I started back in 2008 from one person, just myself as a truck driver. And here we are with 30 people working together. It was really a tough journey to get here, but I'm glad we are here today. And we are capable of bringing more jobs to the area. So that's why we are looking for this property to build a company terminal with the maintenance facility. So where we can maintain our equipment and run the entire operation under one roof, so we don't have to run around for the maintenance and the operations as well. So that's what we are looking to do.
So the idea is that you will be moving into our Brew Road
So, yes,
side.
right.
Yeah. Is there a question about the commitments to the pilot?
Questions? No, I don't have any questions. Robin has been helping me out with the pilot program, and CL is here as my attorney.
Rachel?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
I was just wondering if there were any questions relating to the pilot as well as the Brew Road property and when that would be, we close on that.
So we had to give notice to the state of our intent to sell. And that's a 90-day notice. So we won't be able to close until sometime after November 10th. At that time, simultaneously with closing on the land, the sale from COMIDA to Rinku's entity, we will also close on the benefits. So that at that time we'll close on the pilot, the mortgage supporting tax, and the sales tax, and then we'll file the pilot. So the property will remain in its current status. It is currently owned by COMIDA, but we will go from an ownership interest to a leasehold interest.
I just want to for Norm's benefit and our other members too, just the real estate ownership that we have. We've been selling parcels, we've got several remaining. Just a quick update.
Sure. So COMIDA acquired the land from the county several years ago. We sold one parcel to Scott's Miracle-Gro 5-7 years ago in that time frame, and we also did benefits with them as well. There are 3 parcels that remain. Ringu is purchasing 75 and 30 Brew Road, leaving 1 parcel remaining, 141.
We did engage with a brokerage firm last year to help with this.
I'm very familiar with Blue Road. I was on the county's recycling, I was the chair of the county's recycling advisory committee back in 1989. And I worked with the county on the master plan for the Middle City landfill, and I know that Blue Road was part of the purchase to make sure that the landfill works. So I'm glad to see that something is positive going on there. Moving next to a landfill that's ambitious. How'd you come up with your name with your company?
Flying Horse Transport?
Yes.
I was actually, when I started back in 2008, I was in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I worked at the construction site at that time. There was the name of the site was a Flying Horse Golf Course.
Okay.
So then I said, I'm getting into trucking, and trucking is about the horsepower. Why don't we give it a name of Flying Horse? It's just flying over the road at 70 miles an hour without the horse. So that's why I came up with Flying Horse.
Very great.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Okay. The public hearing held on this matter on September 15th. Was there any comments?
There were none.
I'll ask you some local labor questions.
Sure.
Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, I am.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions this time?
No, I am.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, I am.
The seeker process is complete, and we've waived the reading of the resolution, so I will ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption.
I'll make sure.
Joe, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we'll take a roll call vote on that. Jay is not here, he's absent, so. Yay. Troy?
Yay.
Joe?
Yeah.
Brett? Was that a yes? Yay. Norm?
Yeah.
And Ann is a yay. Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Continued success to you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Next item is American Packaging.
American Packaging Corporation is a flexible packaging converter and renowned leader in the North American packaging industry that services the food, beverage, medical, personal care, agriculture, and other specialty markets. American Packaging built a new manufacturing facility in the town of Chilai in February of 2017. Because of continued growth, additional storage space is now needed for raw materials and for finished product. This project will expand the current building by 53,000 square feet to create the needed storage space. American Packaging Corporation plans to create 12 new FTEs in addition to its existing 122 FTEs. A $9.7 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage reporting tax, and sales tax exemption. The cost benefit ratio is 8:1.
Thank you, Anna. We have John Jones with us today,
Good afternoon.
who's the plant engineer for American Packaging.
Good afternoon. I am the plant engineer for American Packaging in Chilai. As you heard, we're looking to expand by 53,000 more square feet. Just for a little background, for those of you who might not know, in 2017, when we built the plant, it was a 200,000 square foot plant plan, state of the art for everything that we do. I came on just after the beginning of 2018. I've been there 4.5 years. This will be my third expansion of the plant to double the size of the plant. When I came on, we had roughly 40 employees for the startup. We're now over 120. and we're committing to add 12.
Questions on the board? It's such a successful company. And
It's
it's
wonderful.
terrific to keep staying here and growing with us. And
Yeah.
we
It's
appreciate
been fantastic.
it. Okay, let's see, so there was a public hearing on this on 15th November. I'll ask you some local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
We are.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions?
We do not.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days?
We are.
Okay, thank you. The secret process is complete. We're waiting the reading of the resolution. So I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement, mortgage reporting tax, and sales tax exemptions. Motion. Moved by Troy, seconded by Joe. Any other questions on that? All right. For the roll call vote, Jay is absent. Lisa?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe?
Yay.
Brett? Norm?
Yay.
And Jay. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. Now we'll move through some project modifications. The first one is Wolf Solar LLC. Comments?
Thank you, and these first are related. Wolf Solar LLC is developing a 3.6 megawatt solar energy project on an approximately 33 acre portion of an approximately 96 acre parcel of land in the town of Sweden. In January of 2022, the project was approved for sales and mortgage reporting tax exemptions, and then in July 2022, CVE North America Incorporated was approved to assume the sales and mortgage tax exemptions. The applicant is requesting an increase in project costs of $1.6 million due to market conditions of the original application not factoring in all project cost line items. The revised mortgage reporting tax benefit is now $70,200, and the total project cost is now $10,400,000.
Do we have a representative here too? This must be
Yes.
Carson
Hi.
Wyman?
Carson Wyman, yeah,
Business developer.
that's correct, with CVE.
Yeah.
Good to see the board. These two projects are related, number 4 and 5 on the agenda, Wolf Solar and Manteese Solar. We purchased these projects from Saturn Power. They originally started developing these projects back in 2019. They originally applied for benefits with the IDA a year or two ago. This summer, we got the change of ownership modification approved, and now we're going to get a project cost increase approved today. If we can get that approved, we're seeking to close quickly with the IDA and move to construction, start construction on these two projects in October and November, by the end of this year. So they're located next to each other within the town of Sweden. We actually just put the 30-year lease into effect on both of them yesterday. We made the first lease payment, so it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Great. On page 98 in our packets, we have a breakdown of the 1.6 million. Any questions by the board?
Same owner?
Nope, Mr. Wolf and Mr. Manteese, two different owners.
And you just represent both?
That's correct. We bought both of the projects from Saturn Power and will be the long-term owner and operator of both of them.
Okay, any questions
I have a question.
on that?
Yep.
Norm?
Jobs. What type of jobs are you creating in this type of project?
Yeah, so there's short-term construction jobs. That's the main job creator.
Okay.
Be about 4 to 6 months of construction. There should be about 50 contractors on site, all local labor. We had a good call with our construction contractor and Robin the other day. Everybody's on the same page there for the requirements. And then long-term, not too many jobs created. We'll be monitoring the facility remotely. Send a contractor as needed for repairs. There's also some monthly maintenance, monthly checkups, but no jobs other than that.
Don't we have an initiative on solar training?
We do, yes. There's a relatively new policy tied to specific types of renewable energy projects.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So,
So our policy requires at the time the applicant receives the sales tax exemption package, there's an additional $25,000 payment that goes into our workforce development fund. It is an initiative the IDA is undertaking in recognition of the fact that solar projects do not create full-time jobs beyond the construction period.
Thanks for the refresher.
Sure.
All right. Any questions from the board on the modification? Okay. I'll ask, we already read the details, so we'll just ask for a motion to approve the increase in the mortgage recording tax exemption.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Lisa. Seconded by Troy. Any other comments, questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And TZ Solar.
Yep.
I don't read mine here.
No, same thing.
Same thing. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Manteese Solar LLC is developing a 5 megawatt solar energy project on an approximately 34-acre portion of an approximately 71-acre parcel of land in the town of Sweden. In January 2022, this project was approved for sales and mortgage recording tax exemptions. And then in July of 2022, CDE North America Incorporated was approved to assume the sales and mortgage recording tax exemptions. The applicant is requesting an increase in project costs of $1,750,000 due to market conditions and the original application not factoring in all project cost line items. So the new mortgage recording tax benefit is $100,913, and then total project cost is now $14,950,000.
Thanks, Anna, for the detail on the, what's driving the increase for the 1.750 million. It's on page 105. If there's any questions on that. Okay. All right. We'll move forward then. We'll waive the reading of the resolution, and I'll ask for a motion to approve the increase in mortgage recording tax exemption.
Can I ask you a question first?
Yes, Brett.
On page 105 and page 988, can you explain why the costs are more, the other costs are more for the TC Solar for a smaller project? There's not that much of a difference, but I'm just curious.
You mean the
Customer acquisition costs, financing costs, why TC there's more cost for a smaller project.
Is that the case?
So I think it's 105.
Wolf is a little bit more and it's a smaller project. So same
The
question.
overall project costs are higher for Wolf, you're saying?
No, for Manteese.
Yeah, Manteese is a larger
Wolf
project.
I think Wolf's larger, so
No.
do I have it backwards? Yeah.
Manteese is larger.
So Manteese is a larger, so the question is, Manteese is a larger project.
Yep.
The cost, the increases, if you compare the increases between Wolf and Manteese,
Mhm.
Wolf actually is higher,
Has a larger increase in
your
cost.
interconnection is at 250 versus 125 on
That's the
Manteese.
only one.
Yeah. I was given a breakdown of the CapEx costs, all the line items from our financing team, and used that information for this application. I can dig into it a little bit more, go back and take a look at the applications.
So really, the only thing that's
Customer
higher is that interconnection.
That's the one that's,
Higher.
well, no, it should be higher. This project's larger, Wolf.
it's not.
No, Wolf is 3.6 megawatts.
Oh,
Manteca is 5. And the interconnection cost on Wolf is just slightly higher.
Yeah, that varies project to project based on the conditions on the lines.
So it isn't the property, the amount of property, 43 acres, it's the megawatts, it's, okay.
Yeah, the megawatt is how the solar, the measurement of the solar project size.
That's the major cost.
Yes.
Obviously, due to landscape, where the sun's not hitting part of the wolf site.
I'm not sure why it's 3.6 megawatts instead of 5, but.
I see where Red's getting,
Yeah,
it's a bigger parcel of land with less megawatt.
there must be some
Well, it could
site
be,
constraint with the
it
landowner.
could be topo, it could be retention ponds, it could be, so if the topo is off and you can't put them in, you buy less for less property.
DEC regulations, I know we ran into that project in Henry, DEC regulations where you couldn't do things, so we have.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons
Yeah.
why this system size could shrink.
Any other questions on that? Do we have a motion? Not yet, right? I'll ask for a motion then to approve the increase in the mortgage rate recording exemption to implement using project. Moved by Red,
Second.
second by Troy. Any additional comments, questions? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next project is modification of Senate Building Partners LLC.
In July of 2018, Seneca Building Partners LLC entered into an agreement to purchase the Seneca Building in the city of Rochester. It was approved to assume the 25 years custom property tax abatement. The applicant is seeking approval for a new tenant, MVP Health Plan Incorporated, to occupy 33,000 square feet on the first floor. MVP will have 75 full-time and 10 part-time employees on site.
Any questions on that? And we're waiving the reading of the resolution. I'll ask for a motion to approve a sublease to a new tenant at the facility. Moved by Brett. Seconded by Lisa. Any additional comments, questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Our first item under executive director discussion items is the Genesee Country Village and Museum in Wittenberg. Their 2022 agricultural fair taking place October 1st and 2nd, Saturday and Sunday. The previous handful of years, we have provided some support to this event in exchange for providing small businesses with which Monroe County's Department of Planning and Development has interacted around economic development, small businesses in the food and beverage sector. So we will have a table at this event as the Department of Planning and Development. We'll also leverage the opportunity to get the word out about some other ongoing initiatives that we have going on, including public engagement in our comprehensive planning effort, which is partially funded, completely funded by COMIDA. So this is a $5,000 request.
Did we benefit from this last year, right? About the same amount. Well, the outcome was positive. All right. Any questions by the board on this? If not, I will ask for a motion to approve the execution and delivery of a contract in an amount not to exceed $5,000.
Motion.
Moved by Joe, second.
Second.
Seconded by Troy. Any other comments? Right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Aaron. Well, I'm very pleased that we have some senior leaders from Eastman Kodak and also from Berkman, an expert from Berkman here with us today. to discuss a unique and significant opportunity that COMIDA has to partner with Eastman Kodak to support needed infrastructure improvements at Eastman Business Park. Members of the board may know that Eastman Business Park has for a very long time been a strategic area of focus for state leaders in economic development. The leaders at Eastman Kodak have done an excellent job working with regional and state and local partners to attract businesses to the park and to utilize the one-of-a-kind infrastructure that exists there. One significant project that we have currently underway, the Life Cycle project, was attracted to Eastman Business Park for many reasons, one being the rail infrastructure. So we're going to hear from our friends at Eastman Kodak today, I'm from Bergman, about an opportunity for COMIDA to partner with Kodak to support the application, a grant application to the state to shore up that rail infrastructure at no cost to COMIDA, but this is what I would describe as real, true blue economic development. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce Dave Bolingle, the Chief Financial Officer of Eastman Kodak and the President of Eastman Business Park.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for allowing us to get onto your agenda so quickly. We really appreciate it. It's nice to meet all of you. I've been at Kodak for about 20 years, and this is the first one of these opportunities I've had, so thank you very much. I do have a number of slides here. The intent of this is really to try to bring you up to speed on what Kodak is doing. A lot of times we get, what does Kodak do? And at parties and things like that, I'll make the joke that I'm the one guy who still works for Kodak because there's not a lot of people out there who really understand what Kodak is, what we're doing, and how much we're growing. All of those things are really positive. So I'm going to go quickly. Of course, stop me if you want to discuss something more further, but I recognize we don't have a lot of time, so I see the slides in front of you, so I'm going to go pretty fast. So our Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Jim Continenza, who joined the company in February of 2019, describes the company this way in terms of what do we do? We do, and we rely on our core strengths in print, advanced materials, and chemicals. So what Kodak is a print, advanced material, and chemical company. Film happens to fit into an advanced material, and of course chemicals because of the process in which we manufacture. Some quick facts here. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, that Eastman Kodak was formed in 1892 here in Rochester. We are a public company at the stock listing of KODK. We have about 4,300 people worldwide, and we serve more than 25,000 customers in 150 plus companies. Our 2021 revenue was $1.15 billion. That's growing revenue. It grew in 2021 by about 15%, and we're on track in 2022 to grow by about 10% on top of that. I haven't said that and seen that at the company for at least a decade, at least as far back as I can go easily. But it's likely to be about 20 years since the company's grown its revenue, and we're really proud of that, of course.
Have you been the CFO then?
I've been the CFO since 2016, but I've been with the company since 2004.
You seem like seeing that evolution.
Yeah.
My line of products.
My first role was an external reporting manager, so preparing all the public financial reports. So I've gotten to see all that, which is, it's really gratifying to see the company grow.
Right.
Just as a reminder, again, we are a global company with locations worldwide. You can see, of course, our headquarters here in Rochester, New York. We also operate in other areas of the states in Columbus, Georgia. Primarily, we have locations in Minnesota. And then when you get to Canada, we're in Vancouver. We have a location as well in Guadalajara, Mexico, just from North America perspective. This slide really describes our businesses today. So as I mentioned, we fit into print, advanced materials, and chemicals. In digital print, we are involved in technology to the market, primarily inkjet technology, which we brand named Kodak Prosper, and an inkjet press. We also supply, of course, the ink manufactured here at Eastman Business Park, and service that supports that. We've also developed a new technology called Kodak UltraStream. Both of those are the fastest in the industry. Our latest per press will be printing up to 1,450 feet per minute, which is incredibly fast. The next highest is somewhere around 900 feet per minute. So it gives you some of the sense of the true Kodak technology. These are roll-to-roll presses, and so it involves, again, the roll-to-roll manufacturing that Kodak is world famous for, and the deposition technology, if you think about ink being deposited onto the paper or whatever substrate, is really the same as depositing chemicals onto film that Eastman can create. We're also involved in traditional print. That involves offset plates, which are made of aluminum. Those are manufactured elsewhere in the U.S. and the world. We have introduced and are marketing a product called Kodak Sonora process-free plates that you see here, as well as the Evp device. The interesting thing about Sonora process-free plates is that it's environmentally friendly. A typical plate will go through a computer plate device and then go through a series of chemical and heat processes to develop the image onto the plate. We're able to do that without any of those chemicals or process by just spraying off the plate with water. Of course, aluminum is one of our big inputs here, and we purchase a lot of aluminum from overseas and process it here in the U.S. The advanced materials and chemicals is probably the portion of Kodak that you're most familiar with in terms of motion picture, aerial, and non-destructive testing and printed circuit board films. We still have a very large business there, a couple $100 million, and that as well is growing, double-digit percentages over the last 2 years. Again, we're really proud of that. We're adding jobs, we're adding shifts, because we've actually got a backlog in film production. And again, haven't been able to say that in quite some time. Of course, in Eastman Business Park, we support a number of other tenants. I'll get onto that in a few slides. So the products we manufacture in Rochester, I mentioned some of these already, so I won't read this to you. But important to know that we are developing new businesses here as well, and I'll say something about those. Those are primarily listed on the right side of this slide. And getting into a little bit more detail there, I could talk for a long time about these things. This is really where we're very excited. Our objective here is to provide employment for the next generation. When Jim Continent came in and he and I talked about strategy, what Kodak was always great about was, families and generations of employment at Kodak. And that's what we want to return to. We want to create businesses that will grow far into the future. And these are some examples of businesses that we believe really utilize Kodak's technology well and will create that opportunity. So the first listed here is EV, your energy storage battery material manufacturing. We describe it as that because, again, it utilizes our strength. We are using our roll-to-roll manufacturing processes and know-how to coat aluminum foil and copper foil to put into EV batteries as an example. But we think it's much larger than just EV being an electric vehicle. We are today coating those substrates on a repurposed machine, coating machine. Our intent is to supply that to the energy storage industry. We've invested in Wildcat Technology Partners, which is developing technology in the battery space. And we believe we can be a domestic leader of this material, manufacturing this material right here in Eastman Business Park. Life locking technology is another area we're investing in. We're completing a capacity expansion or development in Eastman Business Park. This is a material that we've developed that allows one to block light by coating a fabric with the material. So if you think about maybe a hotel that you stayed at, in order to sleep, you have those light blocking curtains. We can manufacture those materials with our molecules and the substances that we've created by coating on one pass as opposed to multiple passes that are used today. Again, we're doing this right here at Eastman Business Park. Transparent antennas is another area. We're putting basically copper wire onto transparent film. Not the easiest thing in the world to do, of course, but because we have such great technology and great people, we're able to accomplish that. And the intent there is to provide communications devices or communications antennas into the automotive industry. So think of driverless cars and how those might want to talk to each other. Rather than have the big sharp fin on the back of the car, this would be filmed perhaps right into your windshield. It's a developing technology, but one we're pretty excited about. And then, of course, reagents is our opportunity to get into a portion of the pharmaceutical or medical markets. We have the ability to expand some of our capacity, spending about $20 million on a facility in Eastman Business Park. A reagent, as an example, is the substance that's included in your home COVID self-test, in the little vial that comes in it. What's included in that is a reagent solution. We can manufacture that. We believe, again, that there's going to be a lot of opportunity there for us domestically, because we also believe that there's going to be much more self-diagnosis going on, like what happened in the COVID situation. Continues in the COVID situation. Some further information here about Eastman Business Park. It is a 1,200-acre technology manufacturing site. We have over 100 companies there doing business with us. And we also have, of course, the Kodak Center there that has a 2,000-seat theater. We're back up and running and offering shows there, which hopefully you have or will have the opportunity to attend and enjoy. This is one of my favorite slides here, the Evp Snapshot. It gives you a good overview of the infrastructure of the park. Again, I'm not going to read all of this to you, but our estimate is we have about 5,000 non-Kodak jobs there. We have right now about 1,400 Kodak jobs, so in total, somewhere around 6,500 people, employment and real jobs, manufacturing jobs, that are supported by Eastman Business Park. Again, part of our ability to attract 117 different companies is the infrastructure that we possess and that we maintain. It is, of course, close to the interstate, bottom left here. We have 13 miles of rail track, which is the subject of what we're talking about here today. And of course, security and access to utilities that are produced right on the site. So again, Eastman Business Park updates, we are able to attract tenants and retain them. 94% is our renewal rate. We have a facility management services business, so think of things like HVAC services, janitorial services included in those. And we've been able to grow that business about 67% in 2021. We started about $500,000 in revenue. It's now up over around $6 million in revenue. Again, supporting over 100 jobs there by itself and offering that to tenants. I can give you, again, some of these I'm going to skip over because, again, I'm becoming a little bit verbose here. So what we're here to talk a little bit more about is our plan to make investment in a rail infrastructure and 13 miles of track servicing all the tenants really there at the park. It operates 6 days a week, 52 weeks a year. And again, is one of the major infrastructure assets that help us attract new tenants and new services and expansion, of course, as well. We have today in the direct rail services 4 FTEs. We intend to expand that to 10 as Lifecycle comes up and running. We believe that they will double our volume in the rail area. Getting into kind of the companies that we serve, we deliver products and materials to Desert Foods, New York Sugars, and of course Kodak directly. And as I mentioned, we intend on working with Lifecycle to expand that service in Eastman Business Park. When they're fully operational, we expect that we'll be doubling our volume, which requires us to invest in our infrastructure and hire more people. So we've identified, with the help of Lucas from Bergman, 2 existing grant programs which could assist us in investing in our infrastructure. And you should think of these, I would like you to think of these as an and or. So that the New York State program and or the federal consolidated rail infrastructure program. The federal deadline for application is December 1st of this year. That is available already. And for what we refer to as the pre-FRAP, which is the New York State program, we expect that to be released really any day now. Kodak has, as I mentioned, Lucas here from Bergman. We've retained his services to assist us with the application process. He would tell you he's got a 100% success rate in these areas when he's actually applied for them. So that's really helpful for us to have his expertise with us. The eligibility requirements are summarized here. The reason we're here is Kodak cannot apply for these programs directly, but COMIDA as a municipal industrial development agency could serve as lead applicant for both of these, or either or, and or I should say, and. So New York State would require an agreement in place between Kodak and COMIDA, and the federal would require Kodak to be included in the application as a project partner. I'm sure Lucas could explain that more than I could, but that's why we're here today.
So I have a question with
Sure.
that. So Kodak can't apply for this grant directly, but can all the tenants inside of Kodak apply for it?
Would you like me to answer?
Yes, sure.
So the way it works, there are only certain entities who are eligible to apply for the federal funding, and there's similar restrictions for the New York State funding. The applicants are either a Class 3 railroad, which is a short line railroad, which Eastman Business Park is not, right? That falls under, if you are a Class 3 railroad, you fall under common carrier. You must take anything anyone wants to ship with you. There's also legal repercussions. They are not a Class 3 railroad. Another one is you can be a state or a subdivision of a state. And COMIDA is a subdivision of a state and therefore is an eligible applicant. Those are the same eligible applicants for the state level grant, if you're any of those entities. An industry by themselves or a end user is not eligible to apply to either of those grants.
Okay, so can the other entities, the industry, Lysical, also get on board with some assistance, or is it because, help me better understand, we know Kodak's in the chemical plant, so there's got to be limited product that can go through it. Kodak's always run internally this rail system with Kodak employees, correct? But now we're relating other entities. I'm just trying to better understand this umbrella and how we can not only help just Kodak, but we want to help the whole.
Yeah, so the way I think about it is everything within the fence of, or the perimeter, interior, I guess I should say, of Eastman Business Park is served by Kodak. So the tenant will occupy space, or in Ledestri's case, they'll occupy, they could actually own the land. Because they're within the footprint, Kodak must provide the services to them.
Gotcha.
The only way for them to get rail service is through contracting with Kodak.
Gotcha.
So we are able to serve them through this opportunity.
So that also answers my other question, that it's not a Class 3, so you had no issues with last week's training thing.
That's correct.
Amen.
Well, yeah, I mean,
However, the lines, they are connected to the National Rail Network. So the entities delivering cars to them would be affected.
Right. I was a little shaky being involved in that whole process. So this is all great.
so they bring the cars out to the outside or just inside the fence line, we pick them up from there and distribute them.
Highly unique. You don't see this type of an ecosystem really anywhere all over the world. This is pretty one of a kind, being operated by a corporation, servicing.
Yeah, it's a better understanding why life cycle chose.
Right, correct, yeah.
And what's interesting is with 400 acres ready for new builds, better the infrastructure, the easier it is for people to say we want it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that's most exciting about what we're doing in the energy space as well, is that we're starting to attract companies that will serve the synergies with both us and with Lifecycle. That whole ecosystem really starts to fit together, and the access to rail is very important. Shipping super heavy aluminum, it's not easy to ship those things efficiently. So again, I know that you've read this, so I apologize for reading it to you. So what we're requesting in terms of the board's approval is to have COMIDA serve as the conduit for these two potential grant applications. COMIDA would serve as the primary sponsor. Kodak would handle almost all administrative activities. So what we're prepared to do, of course, we have the infrastructure from a back office perspective to deal with the contract and making payments for the product work. We would be preparing and submitting grant applications, supervising the bid management process if we're awarded either one of these programs, preparing and submitting invoice requests for reimbursement, and additional reporting requirements. So anything we can think of is what we're intending to list here. We're not trying to exclude anything, but just a summary of we would administer.
What's the dollar value of the grant application?
We intend to invest in total $4 million. So my understanding is that there's a requirement for us to kind of match. We have to invest, as an example, 50% of that cost, and the grant will cover the remaining 50%. So at least $2 million. We're trying to fit the two programs together to see how much funding we could obtain with that kind of mix of funding that Kodak would do. But certainly we'd be investing our own capital as well.
Yes.
I'm just so impressed in the way in which Kodak has repurposed itself to utilize that park. I worked with your team in the past, and the way you think out of the box, the actual way that you did red, where you went from coal to natural gas generation for your power, where you show water, everything that you're doing, you're touching all bases. So I just think this is wonderful that you're thinking out of the box again, looking at ways to make that park a very special place.
And this team has really done that. That's one of the reasons
We got to figure out more ways to drown out that steam.
Agreed.
You got it.
So you reimburse the organization for any costs that are incurred from the county, is that right?
When you refer to the organization, you mean?
COMIDA.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about that with Anna, with Robin, and with Rachel. We're open to whatever structure works for COMIDA. My assumption would be Kodak would contract with, we have some sort of a contract between COMIDA and Kodak to get the work done. From there, Kodak would contract to the individual people performing the work, and we would pay for that and then submit applications, which would have to pass through COMIDA to get to the state or the federal program. So the funds would then be dispersed from the state or federal program to COMIDA and then to Kodak.
Right.
So that was the way I envisioned it. I think there's other structures that could work as well. Frankly, as a CFO, I'm trying to avoid giving $4 million, out of our doors to then get it back. As an example, that was one potential opportunity, which again we're open to, but we prefer to do something that's basically reimburse our costs. So we cover the full $4 million, and then we get reimbursed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's really
As long, I'm in favor, but I think this is great. What you've done in Greece has been unbelievable. So, a lot of companies that go from 66,000 employees to where we are today, and you can go to Detroit and see some of that, it's a mess. So you've done an amazing job. And I'd be in favor of doing this. I think it's the right thing to do. I'd like to see the costs COMIDA incurs offset, whether it's directly from Kodak, or if it's out of the grant money, or however you structure, it really doesn't matter. I just think COMIDA should be made whole. And that's how I'd like to see it structured. I think this is the right thing to do.
So any work that once everything is in motion and we move this forward, is the policies in place at COMIDA going to be the ones followed as far as labor? I mean, not too many people are laying track in Rochester, New York very often. But yes, that's concerning. That we try to help and not only get this machine going, but also lift the community up in labor to get it there. So is the same policy going forward and all that?
Our policies only apply to incentives that
Right.
projects where we're incentivized.
So once this grant money comes in, will you be coming for incentive?
I don't think so. I don't want to speak for Kodak, but I think to the extent there are new businesses that go into Kodak Park and we can incentivize like we've done previously, like I'll give an example, then yes, when they're coming for incentives, our labor policy will apply. In this instance, we're not providing any benefit to Kodak other than access to federal and state funds. As you know, federal and state funds are going to have labor requirements and they will be complying with those. I don't anticipate that COMIDA will apply our local labor policy, however, to this. It's not COMIDA incentive or COMIDA money.
But if we look at the big picture with this upgrade that you're hoping to put in place, it's going to benefit the whole community. It's going to benefit what we do with COMIDA.
Yeah, it will trigger more project activity, which projects that will come before us that are subject to our local labor policy.
This revitalization will serve as a conduit to bring more business into the county. And that's so that area becomes more vibrant and it doesn't end up.
If you could only give me the best news and tell my family that's retired from Kodak that they could get the health going again and some of the other stuff that they were.
All right, Joe's made a motion to approve the submission of state and or federal applications for railroad improvements to be undertaken by Eastman, Kodak.
And Rachel, can we make that motion so that it builds in the offset the costs?
Yeah, so I assume you mean the costs related to staff and legal on the grant.
Correct.
Yeah, so just like anything when we incentivize a project, our costs are covered by the applicant, so I would anticipate that to be the case here.
That's fine.
And this is just authorizing.
This is just also authorizing the grant, state and or federal grants. We'll be back to the board if the money is awarded to accept the money and talk the structure more at that point.
There will be, I just found at a comment here, there will be administration in the interim as we apply for both of these grants and they need support. So yeah, if we need to talk about that, we need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I do think I should add that, thank you again for all the support of all the business that we've created together at Eastman Park. It really means a lot to the company, to the Rochester area, and we recognize how supportive you've been. So I really want to thank you.
Doing a very impressive job out there for the benefit of the broader community and to certainly expand our rail capability.
Norm, thank you for your nice words. Norm and I, our paths crossed a lot. He's been wonderful.
I've worked with these guys and they've had challenges and they're repurposing themselves. They have plans for that area. They're way too serious. They start going, they're taking steps, they're connected with that. You see the total plans, it's going to be something. And I don't have to go ahead and stop. I don't work for that. But I see what you're trying to do and the challenges that you have. This amazing piece of property. If you haven't done a tour of the Kodak Park, I mean, it's just expansive. It covers a tremendous amount of space. And I remember being there with so many men, Borelli and Bergen,
a whole bunch of us were there for fun when it came in. And it was just amazing to see these small businesses starting to go there. And what you're doing, you're building capacity and the ability to bring more folks in. And I think, I'm new to the board, but I think one of the roles of government is to build capacity and make sure that there's opportunities from basically an infrastructure or a structural standpoint. So when the time is right, businesses can come in, and rail is so important. If you're ever on the bridge road and that car's coming here, stop behind those cars, you know. So I know what you guys are doing. I've been with you guys a few times, so I'm supportive.
Norm, I'm thrilled to see you here, but I do miss you in the city.
Well, you know,
For education, how many properties in the United States have the certificates of the chemical plant and being able to process I know the fire department on site is part of that equation, the rail is inside. How many other dynamics, I know that the auto workers, are not chemical, we're talking chemical. Approximately, can I count them?
Yeah.
Can I count them?
I think it's one.
Thank you very much. I think the community needed to understand that better when we got leverage with life cycle and how critical life cycle needed Kodak's land and needed to be a participant and a partner over there. We're not seeing a lot of local labor over there right now, and it's concerning. But we'll get through this. But I guess to better understand, life cycle was very limited in where they could go, and to have them come was very exciting, but the way that our community's been treated by them hasn't been very fair.
All right,
Just
any
so,
other?
a little labor.
We appreciate your time, everyone. Thank you very much for the work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see you all. Thank you. We'll have you soon.
Thanks.
The dashboard, only if anyone has questions on the dashboard, I think Greg gave a very comprehensive overview of our financial situation and the fact that this is a historic year in terms of project activity, which we're very proud of.
Thank you. So let's see, the October meeting is going to be held in our office at City Place.
We were kicked out.
What?
Just for they need a room.
We were asked, they didn't kick us out, we were asked to your new members.
No.
Does everyone have
October 26th.
I might go forward. I'm not gonna be here on October.
That's right, you're good.
I'm gonna be away, but my partner Mike Senda is going to cover for me, so Mike is good enough to be here and it'll be a very, very.
That's the 26th.
Yes, Rachel will be in Jubilee.
We
So
can't
we'll all
talk
be
about
living
it.
vicariously.
I know.
Unless one of us goes.
You're welcome to join me there.
Pour one out for us.
Okay, any other agenda item discussion? Have a motion to.
Motion.
The meeting, is there a second?
Second.
Second. First and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you all very much.
He's gonna really get out of the house.
Excellent.